how are you? Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, Rosie, Bami, good evening. You are missing me. Bami, if you know how busy I am, I have a paper. I have a paper to submit. I've been so busy. Hey, how are you? How is everybody? Unique Pearl, how are you? How is everybody? How are you all doing? I went to go and hide. I no go like give una. I'm hiding. I need to Jade's show. How are you? How is everybody? I've been glued to the computer all since yesterday. I know, Rosie. Thank you. I've been so glued to the. I've been glued to the computer. I've been so busy. So I just did like scheduled short video just to keep my page busy. I'm so sorry. And then this week we're entering. It's my son's 30th, so I need to pack my bag. Literally, in short, I've not even packed, and I'm traveling tomorrow. I've not packed my bag. I'm just going away for we are going away for a few days. Anyway, yes, it's just been very busy. You know, it's summer here, Abi. It's summer, Abi. No be summer, na summer. So it's going to be 30. It's going to be big 30, and that one itself is is another kind of milestone. It's such a huge I can't believe I'm even pinching myself. Ha! Like play. I don't get 30-year-old pikin. No be small something. Like play. Ọmọ o, èyí pẹ́ dàgbà. Kékeré jòjò ló máa bí tèmi. Ọmọ o, èyí pẹ́ dàgbà. Na so e be. Congratulations to me. Congratulations to all of us. Me sef, I be assistant birthday mother. Wow, just like yesterday. So I'm so grateful, and so grateful, so reflective. So, but then I needed to submit my. I know, but me, thank you, Jari. I needed to submit. I have a paper that I need to submit to a particular place, a particular university in Australia. So, and there's a deadline, because of the time difference. So yeah, so I had to. So I've been busy. I literally had to go and lock myself away just to do. I had to go and. You say I've not stopped this MFM case at all. Come and learn. You forget the messenger. Come and learn lesson. Because now so we dey do. Come and learn lesson, so that you will not. So that you can avoid story that touch the heart. Don't worry, I will send everybody party your love. Cyber party your love. I go send you now. Hey. My people. How was your Sunday? We hope we are all jollofing. Hope we are jolly. I see brother K1. I see him. Person wey don 70-year-old man don near 70. We carry himself. They do. Oloyun abi na wetin he sing. Woman, if you carry your leg, when you dey spread your nyash, you go spread your nyash for anybody. Na so they go use you. They go when you see Mike begin dey use you, dey laugh. Respect yourself. I no know the kind women wey dey carry their body go give that man. I no know. Tomorrow morning I will come look that one. Tomorrow morning I go get that one. Today na Sunday service. Make we do Sunday service. We go make sense. If you get church, you get charity organization in United Kingdom, we call a NGO. Shey na NGO they call am. we call NGO charity here. Na charity we dey call am. All those wetin dey call am, all those your community group, all those your charity, those your for United Kingdom, all those your charity wey una dey get, carry your share come. If you are a GO, whether you are upcoming GO, carry your share and come and learn from this. Come and learn from this, so that charity commission no go come do come for your door. Come and learn from this. Now, this case is such a unique one. Well, it's not unique to MFM, but compared to other African churches, right? No be say they thief. Okay? No be say they thief. MFM no thief. Their case is such is a mistake that a lot of African-led organizations make in the United Kingdom. And say we get to, we have three ways of registering we have 3 ways of registering businesses here in the UK. Originally, when you are registering your business, you register it as under the company house. However, if you are registering your churches and your charities, so your charity, for those of us wey dey Nigeria, for my audience wey be Nigerian audience, when we say charity here, we mean NGO. That's what you guys call it in Nigeria, NGO. Now, churches in the United Kingdom and most Western countries, they are classed as charity. Okay, in United Kingdom we call it charity, so they are classed under the NGO scheme. Under the NGO scheme. No, they didn't steal. No, most of them didn't steal. They didn't steal. The mistake they made is a general mistake. A lot of people make this type of mistakes. Okay. Good evening, sis. Good evening, Caroline. How are you, sis? So they didn't steal. What they did obviously cost them, but that's because there are so many ways to do. So don't let me lose my line of thought, because I want us to be. My page is all about learning. Okay. So first and foremost, in United Kingdom, when we register charities, that, like I said, charity. When I say charity, I mean NGO. For those of you who are in Africa, we call in the UK we call charities NGO here. So when you register charity, which church falls under? Now, a lot of times, like most of our African churches, the likes of Redeem, the likes of Winners, the likes of CAC, the likes of Mokuna remind me which church, Celestian. Most of these churches, their roots, not be all the one we did set up for UK. I'm talking of the ones that originated, that their headquarters is in Nigeria. Okay, so the likes of Redeem, the headquarters in Nigeria, Redeem Day. The likes of Winners, the headquarters is in Nigeria. The likes of Celestian, their headquarters in Nigeria, Day. The likes of, just name the churches. Those churches. I'm not talking of the one that was created in UK, that the founding father now UK based. I'm talking of those churches that their main headquarters. You think I'm about to answer your question? Don't worry. Sit down. Make una give me, wetin they call am? I need wetin they call am? Bottle of water. Na water I dey drink. I no dey drink. I rarely drink fizzy drink. Make una give me bottle of water. I go sit down. I go shalaye give everybody. So you see, okay, like I was saying. So all those, most of these churches, they have their branches. They have their headquarters in Nigeria. Okay, the likes of KICC headquarters na United Kingdom e dey, because Ashimolowo started it from United Kingdom. But the likes of Foursquare, their capital na Nigeria e dey. Okay, and the same also goes. There are some African churches that their headquarters is in African country, but their branches is in the United Kingdom, America, wherever. Before we talk long and short, church is a business. Know that and know peace. Okay, so put that there. So, in the last few decades, obviously, as we are having quite a lot of presence of Africans, a lot of our African churches, they are running into trouble. Not because, well, some of them, so a lot of them are running into trouble. Some of them, the way they remit their money, most of these churches, remember, is a headquarter. So think about a organization like, I don't know, maybe national, how do they call it? Maybe Coca-Cola. Okay, something like that. Think of all these organizations that have their different branches, the likes of Shell, the likes of Chevron, those kind of things. So most of these Africans, when they japa alongside their churches. Okay, their daddy Jew and their mommy Jew, they help their mommy Jew and daddy Jew plant their businesses. Okay, or plant their churches. Okay, so we see that with Redeem. Redeem gets orishirishi branches. Even the one wey dey under the mango tree, they register am. Okay, so they have a way, and with the likes of I think Redeem, if I'm right, please correct me for those of you who attend Redeem. I think, to the best of my knowledge, I think Baba Adeboye, they said that God told him, this is not me asking whether God talk, whether God no talk. I want to be corrected because that's my understanding. My understanding is Baba Adeboye had instructed that they should have, is it Redeem in every 15 minutes drive or something? Am I right? Is that the right one? Am I right in saying that Redeem, they should have Redeem in every 15 minutes walk? Please correct me if I'm wrong. For those of you, 5 minutes walk. Thank you. So they said they should have Redeem in every. So that's why you notice that there is Redeem in every nook and corner. So in the early, I think it was mid 2000, Redeem got into trouble here in the United Kingdom under, what's the name of this man that used to be there, under Pastor Agu. Okay, he got into trouble because, like MFM, Redeem has different branches, and because they have, I'm greeting everybody as you are greeting me, and they greet all of you. So because Redeem has, so they open church in every nook and corner. Okay, so what was happening was, in the case of Redeem, they were not, when they were remitting money, they had to remit, they had a kind of money, they had I think a percentage in their church, in every branch, that needs to be remitted to the headquarter. We all know that the headquarter of Redeem in Europe, the headquarter of Redeem was in London. That's the UK one, which Pastor Agu was in charge of at the time. So they will remit money to, I think, Pastor Agu's church or something, the headquarters, and then that headquarter will now pass the money, will now remit whatever it is. There's a percentage. They remit it to the headquarter in Nigeria, in kilometer 140. Okay? I don't know what the percentage, I don't want to say what I don't know, but I know they remit a certain amount. Somebody said it's 30%. I don't know. I cannot confirm what I don't know. Okay? But I know they remit money. They shall remit money to their headquarter. Okay? So they remit the money to their headquarter. Now, there was problem because the money they were remitting, Jesus House, that was the time that Pastor Agu, there was a time he was I think it was the European head of Redeem or something. He was he was the main face at the time. So they were remitting this money. Yes, it was obvious that this money was being remitted. However, remember, the church is registered as charity, which is NGO here in United Kingdom. So whatever money they were making, I don't know whether it was a profit, because obviously the church is not meant to make profits. Whatever they are making, whatever money they are getting, they are meant to be using it for charitable work. Okay, so they will run like the likes of food banks, homeless service, whatever they do. It depends. Every church stipulates what they do, but it must be in line with charity commission. Okay, so but there are some churches like the likes of Church of Scotland, Church of England, Catholic churches, and Baptist and Methodist, I think. And what's the name of this one? Ekankan. Is it Ekankan? Yeah, Ekankan. And the Lodge. That's the Ekankan. They register they have a charitable angle to their registration, and they also have a social enterprise, and that's because they do the scholarship scheme. They have scholarship scheme, and of course they also have like they sell things to make profit and to make money to generate funding for this for scholarship and other things that they do. Yeah, can. Then yeah, so they generate, and then some of them had care homes. They were running, these homes for elderly. Some of them run the homes for elderly. Back in the days, they used to run children's home. Okay, and then some of them also have private schools. Okay, so all of these Freemason. Thank you. So all of them, those particular set of churches, they have those particular set of religious institution. They have the charitable registration, and they also have the social enterprise registration to them. Okay, so over time, but the African churches mainly, they register as charity. Okay, they always register as full charity. So that means, yes, they do charity. Well, they say they do charity. Me, I don't know whether they do them. They say they do charitable work. Okay, so obviously over time they are allowed to get gift aid. Members can get gift aid. They can give gift aid and stuff like that. Hello everybody, I'm greeting you. I'm sorry, I'm not being ignorant. I'm greeting you. I just don't want to lose my line of thought. So anyway, they raised this money. They were raising money from maybe selling books. They were making money from a social enterprise angle. Of course, there's a cap to the profits they can make, because if they make a certain amount of profit, then their registration could change from being a charitable registration. But in the case of most African churches, it's a very common thing. Most African churches, they are registered as charity, pure charity. Okay, they are registered as pure charity. Now, in that case, it means every year they can apply for a particular government grant to continue to help them maintain their charitable work. So it's like a cushion, like a financial cushion to help maintain the charitable work that they do. So maybe they do food bank, and that's why you see, like when you do volunteer in church, just in case you don't know, all those, you are a worker, you are a choir, you are a drummer, you are a whatever volunteering, you are volunteering in church. You see those volunteer hour. Ideally, every charitable organization, they have stipends. Okay, there's always stipends that is earmarked for them, for you to be paid. So if you do like maybe, if you do like over 5 hours of charitable work, you get money for your lunch. It might not be a lot of money. I don't know. I can't remember how much, but I think it's less than £5. I'm not 100% sure. So you can get, ideally, you should be able to claim. You should be able to claim for lunch. And then obviously, if you are going for this conference, maybe they do convention, congress, whatever it is that you guys do in the church. Now, if you are working, if you are doing all those, maybe you are doing a congress for like 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is, the charity organization, the onus is on them to provide accommodation, suitable accommodation for you. Of course, they are not going to provide you 5-star. Okay, but there is funding, there's a leeway for them as a volunteer. So if you are a usher in your church, you are a choir, whatever department, I've not gone to church for a long time, but whatever department you fall in your church, like all those your convention, all those your NNP, sorry, I said NNP. Someone that knows I said NNP. I won't say NNPC. Sorry. What's the name of that Geriese program one that they do? That NNPP with NNPPC. Is it NNPPC? Anyway, that Geriese program. If you volunteer in programs like that, Geriese Church is meant to cater for your transport. They are meant to cater for your accommodation and your feeding. NSPDD. Oh, sorry, I said NNPPD. When I know verse, after it is how I use this. I said NNPC don't do my mouth. Sorry, I was speaking to somebody earlier. We were talking about NNPCs, no verse. Yes. So make I leave the NN before I go call the talk NNPC. So ideally, they are meant to pay you. They are meant to cater for your transport. They are meant to cater for your they are meant to cater for your accommodation, and they are meant to cater for your feeding. So just in case, put your ear for grant. Just in case, hello aunty me, ekrolema. Just in case you be volunteer for NNPP, sorry, NN wetin una call am again. Abeg make una read NNPPD. Sorry anyhow una you get the gist of what I'm saying. So just in case your church dey organize NNPPD, your church dey organize power must change hand. I don't know how many hours una dey use to do. But when you do a congress, okay, when you tell me na wetin I do you now. When you do a long program that takes a whole day, as a volunteer, your church should be paying you. The charity organization that you work for, all those African organizations, we go gather all of una. Oh yeah, come and help us do research. They are meant to pay you. I'm telling you now, and they are meant to cater for child care. They have the funds for that. Okay, so don't go and be doing free job usher. And I will tell you, whether you claim the money or not, when they are filing, when charities file at the end of financial year, they also claim back the volunteering hour. Okay, so maybe you are volunteer for 3,000 hours, and maybe the total of volunteer hours that they have in the year is 3,000. The government gives them money. The government gives them a refund, so they get money for that. So just in case you are doing free usher in your church, you are doing you are doing free choir, you are doing free drummer, you are doing free, what other is there? Protocol, protocol they call am. I don't dey forget because they remind me. Abi you dey clean toilet, whatever it is that they put you, whatever area where they put you inside your church, whatever places that you say you are serving. Hello, your pastors dey collect money for your head. No that and no peace. Gift aid is a different one entirely. There's gift aid, but apart from gift aid, you see all those who are doing ushering. So that means in your church, if your church service is more than 4 hours, you are meant to get lunch. Your church, I am teaching you now. So don't be doing show free. Don't say I'm doing unto the Lord, shouting hallelujah. Na lie, no shout hallelujah. Did they collect money? When you hear wake up, bera, go get that moolah. If you don't collect it, if you don't collect the money, your pastors are claiming it back, your churches are claiming it back. Just borrow yourself brain, get your pen and paper and write it. And if your pastor asks you, maybe next Sunday, I've been at this week, summer don't come now, original program dey grand. Just in case your pastor, when you go ask and you say I need to claim, and your pastor say ogini kwa, tell your pastor say na one blogger like that aproko na he educate us, tell am carry this thing go give am, carry am go give them. They go give you the money because government must not cash them. Collect your money. If your church program is more than 5 hours and you are doing usher, you are doing choir, you are doing whatever it is that you are doing, they are meant to give you lunch. They are meant to give you money towards lunch. You are not doing it unto God. You are claim your money. Cut me anywhere. Claim your money. Okay? And then you see, if you dey do admin for church, you need to calculate your hours. Okay? If you are doing admin as volunteer, you understand? You know there are some churches that they do volunteer, people they will ask people to volunteer as admin. If you are doing that admin job and in a week that volunteering hours in a week is more than 10 hours, you are meant to get stipends for that. Okay? You are meant to get stipends for that. Your churches, if you don't get the if you don't do it, if you don't claim your money, your churches claim that money back. They claim that hour back in money. Okay? This is not to bash any church. It is for you when they do free service to borrow yourself brain. Okay? So, and remember, for those of you when they go church, well, church member, mosque, whatever it is that you go to, and Kingdom Porukwe, if you are the one, because your pastors, they have to go through, what is it called? They have to go to an accountant to audit their paperwork in preparation for Kingdom Porukwe, in preparation to filing to Charity Commission. Okay, they have to file their tax and their, their financial year end, their financial statement to Charity Commission. So just in case, some churches would do it in-house. So they will commission the job to either maybe your admin department. They will say voluntary. Don't do it voluntary. Okay? There is money set aside by by the government for churches to claim. Okay? So they are collecting money on your head. That is the long and short of the story I'm telling you. So make sure, don't go and be doing show free. Except if your church is only open for 3-4 hours. Any service you are doing, whether it's Sunday service, any service you are doing that is more than 5 hours, by law, the church is meant to give you money towards your Kingdom Porukwe, towards your lunch. And if you are going to be in church for workers, I know when I used to be in Redeem in Edinburgh back then, the workers starts church. Workers will come early. They are the first one that will do kokon, that will open the door and clean the door and whatever they do. And they are the last to leave. So let's say church for talking sake is 3 hours. Those workers tend to do more than 4-5 hours. More than 5 hours, in fairness. You will see that some people, they will go in the morning. They will come back at night. Now then go open church, now then go close church at night. When they even finish, they go carry themselves, go pastor house. Go help pastor, they clean door. Go they do this, go they do that. That your hour is not free hour. If you don't claim it, your churches claim it back. Tell anybody, go and tell your pastor. Say somebody like give you, say he get one blogger, Aproko, he like give una. Aproko with cruise. Tell them, say he like give una. Say he like, say una hear one lie, una one push it as pastor. Say all those free voluntary hour, those voluntary hour, what will they do? Do we claim money back or not? Do you guys claim money back? Bank accountants go tell you say they claim money back. Okay? So borrow your church accountant, they go tell you. So go and make sure you don't do free of charge service. There's no free of charge service. There's nothing like I'm working for the Lord. They claim it. They claim it. Your pastors claim it. If you are a cleaner, what they call them in Winners, na sanctuary worker, we they call our professional cleaner. The clean we no do for our house, we will come they do one for church. If the church does not want to pay you, they should go and hire professional. They should go and hire cleaning service. Church of Scotland, England, all of them, all those old people church, all those olden days church. That's what they do. They hire cleaner. If your pastor, if your church is not willing to hire, you have no business. You have no business cleaning your church. And if you want to clean your church, make sure that your church shows you their health and safety policy. Because if you dey clean church, you dey carry table, dey carry chair. If your back e break and your church you no get health and safety, they no get health and safety policy. Break it. You know when it's called you break it. Nothing go happen, no. There is nothing that will happen to you. Instead, you come dey do and you come gbedu see Mike. I went to this church. It was when I was there in this church that my back come and break, that my nyash come and break, that my leg come and break. Ask question. You have no business cleaning any church if there's no safety, if they don't have their health and safety policy in place. You have no business. Hello, Anton, how are you? You have no business cleaning church if you don't have all your signs. Ask for those signs, for those safety signs. All those information all need to be manual handling. Thank you. Health and safety and manual handling. Thank you, Jari Anton. You should have all of those things all in place. Don't go and be doing a sanctuary worker. And a sanctuary we they call them for Winners. I don't know what they call it in other churches. Don't go and do sanctuary worker those wey dey clean church na winner. You know say winners dey sabi baptize all worker, they go give us one fancy name. Don't go and clean anywhere where you do not have manual handling and health and safety policy. Refuse to do it. If they refuse to show you, tell your pastor, look into the eyes of your pastor and tell your pastor to go and hire cleaner. Okay, know that and know peace. Then because I remember that time for Udidim, you come see people dey carry, as they carry piano, na so they carry orishirishi. Hello, they have by law they should have all of those things in place. Don't go and do. Ignorance is not an excuse in the court of law. Okay, that won't go, because if your church, if you are serving as a volunteer, by law they are your employer at the time that you are volunteering. They are your employer. And if you want to do volunteer in church, like choir, choir, whatever, choir, what do they call them, usher, whatever you are doing, whatever place that you volunteer, hospitality, whatever it is that you volunteer for, make sure that your church has a induction. If they refuse to do induction for you, tell them, say hello, I know they do. Because yes, you are volunteering for your church. You know those things that we take for granted in Nigeria. Over here, they know they take them for granted. If anything happen to you, whether you dey volunteer, you can take your employer to employment tribunal if they no do wetin they suppose do. And they themselves, they know say if they no do the right thing, they know the repercussion. They know say na serious repercussion. E get one man like that for Spain. That time for Spain, I can't remember the name of the guy wey Sunday Adela Jakari put for Origba that time. Where the man say, I don't even need the name. I can't remember the name of the church where the man they go. Where the man say they say make he go climb ladder. Now so the guy climb ladder. The guy in a tall guy, I think was about 6 foot or something. Now so the man climb ladder. Now he say the ladder, actually ladder no stronger for ground. Now so the guy fall yakata. The man, I remember that time when all of them they carry and put for social media, when they carry the man put for Rigba, they said the man spinal cord, his spinal cord is shift belly. The man no fit sit down again. The man no fit stand. The man became he got permanent injury. And he be like say they can't say, I think he didn't even have insurance. Church itself no get insurance. No be small something. I remember that time they carry and put for Origba that time, na before COVID. They carry the man put. Now one of my family friend, he dey follow Sunday Adele that time. He carry and put for him pig. Now I say wetin happen, because I remember he call me that time. Kiniko, wetin happen to the man? They come say they donate money. I say which money una dey donate? He was a worker. He no check the ladder ni. He say no. He say he was doing it for God. Hello, you can't go and tell insurance you are doing it for God. Borrow yourself, pray. When you are volunteering in any church, in any charity organization, the time of your volunteering hours, you are an employer of that organization, whether paid or unpaid. So they are solely liable for everything that happens on the soil, on their premises. So if you are stupid enough not to be sensible, not to read the basics, read their policies, ask them. They shouldn't hide their policy. Everything should be well spelled out. So that one pass. So on that note, a lot of people they do show free. A lot of people they do serious show free. When you hear show free, they do show free. They will say, even hospitality. If you are working in hospitality in your church, do they have the food safety certificates? They are not supposed to serve anything. They are supposed to take care of everybody's allergy and everybody's dietary. So go back to your church from next week. I've been tomorrow. If anytime when you go church, make sure you find out. I don't know. It's not an excuse on a Western soil. Ignorance is not an excuse. Then for those who they work for children's services, for those of you where they work for for those who they work for Sunday school, Sunday school is children class. What do they call them again? Children class. I've been at children's school. I've been at children class. Those really they teach children for church, for church and for mosque. You need to have enhanced enhanced disclosure. In Scotland we call it enhanced PVG. In Scotland, I don't know of England, in Scotland the PVG that you do in charity organizations are free. The headquarter of that charity kiniko disclosure, I can't remember what it's called now free. Their head office is in Stirling. It is free of charge. They do PVG. You as parents, before you carry your pikin go children's school, sorry, what did they call it? No be children's school. What did they call the name of that thing? No, not DBS. In England it's DBS, but in Scotland it's PVG. What did they call the name of that thing that they put children in churches and in mosque? We know where children go to, children's school, children's class, whatever it is. When you dey carry your children go there, make sure that the person, that the teachers, the volunteer teachers, they've all done their children ministry. Okay. Make sure that all the people that are in charge of children there, they have done their disclosure. That's what it's called. They have done their disclosure if you're in England, and they have done their, what is it called? They have done their PVG if you're in Scotland. And apart from that, also ensured that they are trained to look after children. Otherwise, if anything happen while your children are kept there, you the parents, hello, you go gbenu see Mike. The pastor in charge, you go gbenu see Mike. The person in charge of recruiting volunteer, you go gbenu see Mike. And the person wey decide to say Gbangba, you go gbenu see Mike. Yes, there's training that needs to be in place for them. Know that and no peace. Okay, so you can see I've broken it down for you. So, because there are a lot of things that we take for granted. End town. Now until Gongo, shey the one wey happen for Sterling, everybody eye clear. Got the one wey Gongo go saw the day where everybody head go correct. So all these things I've listed, take note. When you go back to your church, you go back to your mosque, go and ask your imam and your pastor whether they get all these things, and stop doing show free in your churches. If your church service is more than 5 hours, by law, they are meant to pay you for your lunch as a volunteer worker, and they are also meant to give transport. They are meant to give you money towards transport. Is it that money, or they give you voucher? They have to give you something towards it. And when you go for all this convention, now lie, when they tell you we are looking for volunteer, refuse to volunteer. Yes, volunteer, but by law, if you are going to NNPC, no. Anyway, if you are going to any of this your convention, you know those convention where they go. If you are going for any of those convention, they have to pay for your transports. If you are a volunteer, and they also pay for your accommodation. I cannot promise. There is no law that says they will pay for 5-star. They can decide to put all of them in Airbnb. Good law. But the thing is, they have to evidence that they put you guys in accommodation, and they also evidence that they paid your transport and your feeding. They will give you something. Of course, they're not going to give you, I don't know, they're not going to give you £100 towards your feeding. They will always look for the lowest or the mid price. Okay, so that's what it is. I don't know of other country. I'm speaking for United Kingdom, so clock it on that one. Now, but I mean, I know now. NNPC now. When I say NN whatever it is, people understand. So, MFM, Mountain of Fire Ministry, Charity Commission, he called them to come and sit down. What did they do? Now, you know what MFM do? Like I said, like most churches, again, this is not uncommon. So like most churches, make una come here, they no thief money. It is not about stealing. They didn't steal money. So what they did is very, very simple. They have what's the name? They have branches. Charity Commission. MFM get branches just like any other, just like Redeem, just like Winners. In the case of Redeem get plenty branches, but when they get kasala, their own was they were remitting money to their headquarter. Then they were bringing in open heaven. They were selling it. They were not declaring that they were selling. They were declaring it as what did they call it? What did they call the name of that thing? They were declaring it as free gifts. So you know how in those days they used to give free Gideon Bible. You know those Gideon Bible they always give that time. So Redeem, in their own case, they were declaring things that they were selling. You understand? They were declaring it as free for their members. And of course, when they picked up, of course, what did they call it? Audits were done, and it was picked up that these items were not free. So there was a case of fraud, okay, and misleading, very easily. They go begin read English books. So, and because different branches were registering, now for Redeem, some people they call themselves open heaven. Some people now sit down lock heaven. Some people they get praise parish. Some people na Jesus house. Some people na Jesus leg. Some people na dome of heaven. Some people na rain of water. They shall get Orishi name. And say for Redeem, na different pastor they set up different Orishi. So on that particular case, in the case of Redeem, there was kasala because all of them were remitting money funny. And of course, individual pastors was, they were not, their money was not clear. And of course, they were saying they were putting money towards charitable stuff in Nigeria, but there was nothing to show that they were doing anything charitable in UK. Meanwhile, they were collecting gift aid. They were collecting all the money that they could collect from the system. So, kasala burst. There was a case of fraud, and of course, they were fined. They were fined heavily. So, in order to manage, and then they put Adeboye name as their as one of their board of trustee. And of course, Adeboye doesn't live in UK. If he doesn't live in UK, you can't put his name as a board of trustee. He needs to have a UK address. And of course, Baba self no even know what they happen for UK. He own made they make money shall they enter in their whatever way they remit it. Make it shall no say that money they did there. So to resolve Redeem's problem, because Redeem's problem was a very complex one, to resolve it, Redeem was re-registered, yes, as a charity, but with a franchise, so social enterprise angle of it, whereby if you see RCCG, if you want to open a church, say you want to go and open RCCG, you will pay for the logo, you pay to use the name, just like your McDonald's. So you pay to use McDonald's as a name. So basically that's what RCCG was. And of course, Charity Commission appointed specialized legal team to help them register it, to avoid complication. And that's how you see it today. If you go on Charity Commission website, you go see some Redeem branches, they get kasala with Charity Commission, but it was simple a case of everybody to your tent, O Israel. Okay, so the headquarter church, wherever the headquarter church is now in the UK, the headquarter church is no more liable for what you do in the corners of your room in Dumfries. Everybody answers to their name. Every pastor, God call you, and they don't say God no call you, but now you by yourself, now you go face Charity Commission. The headquarter church is not liable for any kasala we wanna do for Charity Commission. So on that note, that won't work. In Winners does not have a franchise, but they have a centralized. I think Dartford is their main headquarter in the UK. So of course they have a centralized account, and in the process now they see Orishi, the rest they say is history. Now there they lay picture of Baba, my former daddy in the Lord. Nobody left photo woman ojú títì. Nobody wanted, nobody wanted to see gada ba ni ni Olúwaran wa lewede Ebenezeri. Now, in the case of MFM, MFM does not have a headquarter. Although they have a branch. They have a, I think they have like an administrative, like in their main church. I think their main church is in England. So they have their, in that main church, that's a main branch, but not their headquarter at the time. But I think that's where, I don't know, but I'm guessing that's where like Redeem, I'm guessing the pastor of the main church in London, that pastor is meant to oversee the rest of MFM across United Kingdom. But the problem started because, unlike Redeem that have headquarter church in, what's it called, that unlike Redeem that has headquarter church in London, Jesus House at the time, I don't know if Jesus House is still the headquarter under Pastor Agu. Unlike Redeem, MFM, each individual pastors manages their branches. They manage the finances, they manage everything of their church. And what did you say? You say they are taking over because now them they hustle for the money, but them they chop peanuts. Please remember, plus member see the lack of support from headquarters, so their loyalty lies with their respective pastors. Me, I don't know that one. I don't follow them go, so I don't know. I'm only going to report what Charity Commission said. So individual churches, they are in MFM. Individual branches, they have individual branches, and the individual branches, from Charity Commission's investigation, they all individual pastors manage their individual accounts. I remember back then in Winners, back in Nigeria, Winners was like that until we had a central account under Bishop Olutayo. We used to have Winners, every pastor in Winners was able to manage their own account independently. Okay, and that was what has happened with MFM, where each pastor managed their account independently. Okay, so when I say manage independently, it meant if there's repairs to be done in church, they manage it. If there's recruitment to be done, the pastor in charge of that branch manages that recruitment. If there was money to be spent, say they want to do renovation, they want to buy property, they want to buy the whatever it is that they want to, like maybe property, or they want to do like a program, the pastor in charge of that branch manages the finance himself, and him or herself, I don't know whether they ordain women, but the pastor and the board of trustees of that branch manages it. However, the problem started because the headquarter church, their so-called headquarter church in England, yes, they know that they have different branches across the UK, but the headquarter church is not aware of the day-to-day finances, like financial what did they call it now? Financial reports of the church. Now, in the Church of Scotland, for instance, like Church of England, you know, those Baptists, whatever, they have a centralized account. Yes, even if you need to do repair in your branch, you still have to go through the approval of the headquarter church. Okay, that's like your headquarter, you know, like your head office, kind of. You need to go through the approval, and the reason for that is so that the head office, which is the office in London, which is the church in London, the MFM in London, needs to be aware of how finances is being, income and expenditure of every church, for a centralized way of reporting. Remember, MFM does not operate a franchise system. Okay, MFM does not operate franchise system. Instead, what they operate is branches, like church branches. Okay, so on that note, what's the name? Charity Commission, obviously, like I said, every church needs to submit their financial accounts to Charity. They need to file in their financial accounts, their year-end financial report to Charity Commission. Unfortunately, when this thing was submitted, when their financial report was submitted, very quickly, Charity Commission noticed that, let me read it out. Charity Commission So let me read it out. It says, just give me 1 minute. Now, okay, so the charities. Okay, let me read where it all starts from. So the background and issue under investigation at the time is all been resolved now. Prior to the opening of inquiry in 2017 and early 2018, the Charity Commission, so that Charity Commission, if you follow us on the beginning, is the organization, is a UK organization that manages all charities. So church is classed as charity, church is classed as NGO for those who are in Nigeria who don't understand what we're saying. The charity commission had engaged with the charity, so they referred to MFM. So when I say charity, know that it's, oh well, let me say MFM. I'd engaged with MFM further to report a serious incident made by former trustees. So some of the former trustees, they had reported incidents. Now, what report did they report? The former trustees made report of serious incidents over potential misappropriation of charitable funds and possible theft of gift aid. So they are not sure. They said potential misappropriation. So that means the money that they were supposed to use, they had said they were using it for something. Maybe they said they want to use it to do building, but they use it to buy car. Under the Charity Commission law, that would be classed as misappropriation. Okay? Now, they said they also report charitable funds, misappropriation of charitable funds and possible theft of gift aid. So they said the trustee at the time reported possible theft, that's possible stealing of gift aid. Of course, the stealing of gift aid will be because when they claimed the gift aid, they didn't use it for what they said, or there was no clarity of what the gift aid was used for. A commission visit to the charity, so the organization's visit to MFM, and an inspector of their books, so they checked their financial records, and in February 2018 gave rise to concern about the MFM's financial control and governance. So although the former trustees reported potential misappropriation of funds and possible theft of gift aid, upon investigation, upon inspection of MFM's financial record, their yearly financial record for that time, the charity organization, that's the UK organization, quickly realized that there was concern about MFM's financial control and governance. So that means, what that means is, there was the way they were filing their money, the way they were filing their finances was disjointed. Like I said, it was different branches. Every branch was doing what they wanted. Every branch was doing their own thing financially. Okay, we'll get to it. You listen to it. There's nothing to hide. So it was about, so every branch, every MFM branch obviously was using the money to do what they felt they needed in their branch, but without the knowledge, or without the knowledge or approval, without the written approval of the headquarter church in England. Remember, their headquarter church cannot be Nigeria. It has to be in England because they are operating on the soil of United Kingdom. And then obviously they said they were concerned about governance. So that's about the people who are in charge of decision making. That's the board of trustees. Okay, so let's continue. Particularly the adequacy of the former trustees oversight of the charities branch structure. So when they were looking at what was going on, they found out that the former trustees, remember the trustees who reported possible potential misappropriation and possible theft of gift aid, when Charity Commission investigated, what they noticed very quickly is the former trustees, they do not have the right training. Okay, yes, they might have reported, but very quickly they said the particular adequacy of the former trustees' oversight of the charities branch, that's of MFM branch structure. So they have no knowledge of the trustee who were in charge that reported these concerns. They do not have the knowledge of the governance, like how things were being run, the structure of MFM branch. Okay, so no wonder they reported there was potential misappropriation of funds and probably potential gifted stealing, because obviously if they had a governance knowledge, they have a leadership training, okay, they would have known, they would have probably called the attention of the headquarter church and say, why don't we, it is wrong that we don't have a centralized account. And of course, having a centralized account is even useful for them, because the centralized account allows everybody, allows the church to have a overall knowledge of what happens with individual finances in their individual churches, individual branches. So, okay, let me say, sorry. Okay, okay. Particularly the adequacy of the former trustees' oversight of the charity branch structure. It became clear that branch bank account had opened. So yeah, it became clear that branch bank accounts had been opened without the knowledge of the then trustees. Can you understand now? So individual branches, they were opening bank accounts without the knowledge of their trustee. Meanwhile, the trustee is meant to approve. So you know, when you go and set up a church, when you go and set up a branch, the trustee is meant to be the one to identify that so think about it from a business angle. Okay? So think about it from a business angle. If you are going to go and set up if you want to go and set up a branch, if you want to go and set up a branch of McDonald's, for instance, whether you are buying the franchise or not, McDonald's headquarters should be aware of all the McDonald's across the UK, for instance. But in this case, the board of trustees were not aware that different branches had different bank accounts. And again, that highlights the incompetency of the trustees, because obviously if they are not trained, if they don't have leadership training, that's why I was talking about the fact that you need to do induction and stuff. So if they don't have leadership training, this is not an uncommon thing. As I speak to you, Church of Scotland, Church of England, I think their branch in Polmont is actually going through investigation as I speak to you. So yeah, it became clear that the branch bank account had been opened without the knowledge of the then trustees. So of course, like I said, that shows the height of incompetency. So maybe it's a thing that, oh, they just put friends, and that is not uncommon. Those of us who live in the UK, you know, not even UK, those of us who live abroad, when you want to set up organizations, you tend to look for people. You don't even care whether they understand what you are doing or not. And a lot of time we put round pegs in a square peg. I've been a square peg in a round hole. Okay. It's not it's an expensive mistake, but a lot of people do it, and I'm not excusing it. It's not uncommon. Okay. And that was why I started explaining the way I started. The books and record visits identified at least 100 bank accounts held by MFM branches, over which the former trustees could not demonstrate that they had an oversight or control. So you can see why Charity Commission said they lack adequacy. That they lack adequacy around governance and financial control. So basically what this simply means was, when MFM appointed the trustees in the headquarters, because when Charity Commission wants to audit, they don't go to branches. You are meant to have headquarters. So like Redeem fell into trouble. That's why I explained the Pastor Augustine. The Redeem at the time when Pastor Agu was a member, was a head. And of course, this also got the likes of what's his name, Matthew Ashimolowo, if you remember, Matthew Ashimolowo he had his friend in America as board of trustee, he had his wife, and he had himself. So he was the one auditing and making decision, because the wife, what's the name? It's not deliberate. Please don't let us say. Please, we are here to learn. It's not deliberate. Lack of adequacy is not deliberate. Please, I am not doing church or no church. Let's learn. That's why I said lessons to be learned. Let's learn. Charity, a lot of charities, they make these mistakes. People make these mistakes. A lot of us in our communities, we make these mistakes. So let's learn. Let's reflect and learn. Forget about whether it's MFM now or no MFM. Let's learn from it. We had what's the name of this organization? Is it a forward? Shouldn't have forward? It be their name. I don't even know. A lot of them make mistake. A lot of them make, yes, auntie. Even in Nigeria, you go and look at board of trustees. Some people have their mothers, they have their wife and their children. Most churches do it in Nigeria. They have their wife, they have their best friends. Ashimolowo did it. He had his wife. That's why they pursued him. He's all there. He's on the internet. He's in black and white. He's there. Okay? So this is not, please let us learn. Okay? This show is for learning. What was I? So, like they said when a charity commission said, when they were checking, when they were doing their audits, exactly, auntie, yeah, thank you, Jari, auntie me. When charity commission was checking their books, the financial financial records of MFM. Remember, the focus is on the headquarter. They are not going to go to all their 50 branches. The headquarter church is meant to have a centralized account. Okay, so they checked, and from their checking, they realized that they are up to 100 bank accounts. MFM has 100 bank accounts. Of course, they will. If they have 50 branches, they will have bank accounts. Some of them, they will have bank accounts. You understand? So it is not abnormal. Even charity organizations, I say charity, all these African-led organizations, in short, there's a mosque that is currently being investigated in, I think it's Manchester. I think so. Go on Charity Commission, you will see the list of organizations that are being investigated. It did there. So it is not uncommon for things like this to happen. But how do we learn so that things like this, because you never can tell, some people might decide to open businesses, and your business over time, look at Enish. Like Enish, for instance, they are opening their franchise, the African Nigerian restaurant. They are opening their franchise. So do they have a centralized account? I don't know. I'm just giving an example. So when you open a business, before you say you want to be opening branch up and down, make sure that you have a centralized account. Otherwise, your matter self go, charity commission go reason your matter. So the board of trustee, the onus is on them to ensure that they know about all the bank account, all the money. That's basically, they need to know how money is coming in and how money is going out of all the branches. So if they are not aware, that shows that there is square peg in a round hole. It literally, and that's why what the Charity Commission said, there is concerns around around their lack of knowledge on financial control and governance. Okay, so there's no, as a board of trustee, they are meant to be the one approving that a branch has been set up. They are also meant to be the one approving finances. That's why you always have 3 board of trustees, so that there's always that odd number. All of you don't always agree, and if you all agree unanimously, then obviously you are approving it. So you can't turn around and say, I'm a board of trustee. And this is a lesson for you. When you are being appointed as a board of trustee, make sure you know what you are doing. Ask for training. There's a lot of free training. There's a lot of training. Your churches, your organization should be training you. That's why I was talking about what I was talking about earlier with volunteers. Make sure they are being trained, because it's very important. When the ships are down, your neck is on the line. It is not a title. Your neck is on the line. Your role, if you're a board of trustee, your role is very, very important, and you are legally liable. So you can't turn around and say, they sign check, I don't know. Hello, you can't turn around and say you don't know, because you are part of those approving it. Like they said the books and record visit identified at least 100 bank accounts held by MFM branches, over which the former trustees could not demonstrate that they had any oversight or control. So they had no knowledge of it and they had no control of it. Now it goes back again to what they reported when they said there is, maybe out of fear, when Charity Commission begin dey comb their nyash, out of fear, maybe the board of trustee, you know that Nigerian thing, I don't know, when they know say kasala wan burst, I don't know, even though there's nothing to hide, very quickly, I don't know, I wasn't part of it. It is normal. Let us don't lie to ourselves. It's very normal that people will say that just to get themselves out. Unfortunately, if you are appointed board of trustee, you are liable. You are legally liable for what happens in the organization that you are doing board of trustee. So next time when they appoint you, shine your eye, know wetin you dey do, read, make sure you get the right training. Don't just accept what you don't know. As a result of this regulatory concern, you can see, as a result of this regulatory concern, a statutory inquiry was opened into the charity under section 46 and charity so they listed it as a result. So the Charity Commission obviously had to apply the law, and they have, by law, when they notice that there was the governance, there's concerns around their governance and their lack of financial control, by law the charity organization had to report it, and then they stepped in as a statutory duty. Bamili me alone, you don't come. So the list that they said the governance. So let me read under the wishing law. As a result of this regulatory concern, a statutory inquiry, that's investigation, just in case you don't understand English, investigation heavy inquiry, was opened into the charity, into MFM, under section 46 of the Charity Act 2011 on 27th of March 2018 to examine the following regulatory issue. So you can see there is a regulatory issue, it's an administrative issue, and that's to do with the leadership. Okay, the governance, management and administration of MFM by the trustee, with specific regards to the extent of financial loss to MFM. I want to say charities. So instead of saying charity, I will say MFM, because they keep referring to it as charity. The extent of financial loss to MFM and the circumstances which led to the losses. So because the trustee, obviously they are not well trained, they have no knowledge of what their role should be, they are not competent, that's as simple as that. Because they are not competent, the church was losing money. Obviously, if they are not in control of how money comes in and out, they are bound to record loss, because the trustee who should be authorizing and approving finances and oversee the financial behavior of the church, of the different branches, they don't even know what they are supposed to be doing in the first place. So there was question around governance. Okay, then whether adequate steps were or are being taken to recover such losses. So the money they lost, they wanted to find out if MFM, the money that MFM lost, was there measured? Did they have measures in place? That's like policy. What is the policy action if money was missing or if there's money loss, what do they have to do? Do they have policies in place to sack? Do they have policies in place to ensure that the board of trustees are competent? Then they said whether reasonable steps were or are being taken to safeguard MFM's funds and assets. Okay? Who is this Kurumi? Kurumi abi Kuromi? Kuromi 1864. Kuromi 1864. Please, the next time, please don't make sweeping statements on my show. I believe I'm speaking in pure and simple English. Okay? If you do not understand pure and simple English, Google Translator is your friend. Okay? Google Translator is your friend. And if you type ready and rada, I would please Bami help me put the person inside Shalanga. Because me, I don't have time for nonsense. You can hear in simple English, you suspend your brain. Abi, if you are not sure of what we are reading, go to Charity Commission. E dey there. Google is your friend. E dey there. It's not a hidden information. Anyway, I'll just ignore you. So they said whether reasonable steps were or are being taken to safeguard MFN's funds and assets. The adequacy of the trustee oversight and control of charities branch. The adequacy of serious incident reporting by the trustee. So obviously the trustees have reported maybe from the angle of fear. So although the trustee reported that there was money there was possible stealing and misappropriation, but what the charity commission is saying is that is not the case. Is a case of lack of competency of competency of the governing body. Because so put it this way, if the board of trustees do not know the number of branches that they have and the finances and the amount of assets and funds in the church, that raises question. That means they are not properly trained. Okay, let's go. Then so the charity commission, like any other thing, when there's concerns around governance or finances, so what the charity commission did was, when the inquiry was open, the MFM, so when the inquiry was open, that's when the investigation was open, MFM was governed by a constitution dated 26 September 2004. Clause 3 of the constitution stated that MFM is an affiliate of MFM worldwide, so that related to MFM Nigeria, which is who they are, and shall therefore operate under the guardianship and overall control of the founder and general overseer of MFM worldwide. The general overseer of MFM worldwide is Trustee A. So now, because they are part, you can see why I said the headquarter churches in Nigeria, that a lot of them, they are still connected to their headquarter church, and obviously they work with the policies of their headquarter. So in this particular situation, MFM, maybe I don't know what their policies are, but it appears that it seems they need to have Dr. Olukoya, that's their GO. They need to have him as one of their trustees. So hold that point. Just hold it in one hand. In addition, clause 8.2 of the constitution states that, so that's the MFM constitution, so as MFM constitution, clause 3 of that constitution states that MFM, let me read it again, let me read that again. I don't see him, and I know in head they touch. Let me read it again. When the inquiry was open, MFM was governed by a constitution dated 26 September 2004. So that means they are governed by that constitution of the MFM worldwide. Remember their headquarters. The headquarters of MFM is in Nigeria. So they have a constitution, just like what Redeem does, just like Redeem, just like Winners, just like Celestian, all of them like that. And in their constitution, clause 3 of that constitution states that MFM, sorry, I keep saying charity, MFM in UK is an affiliate of MFM worldwide, which is correct because they are part and parcel of MFM worldwide, and shall therefore operate under the guardianship and overall control of the founder and general overseer of MFM worldwide. The general overseer of MFM worldwide is Trustee A. So in their constitution, their general overseer, which is Dr. Lukoya, must be, according to their constitution, must be part of their trustee. Of course, he's the chairman, managing director, CEO of his company. Okay, so that's what their constitution states, and this is not uncommon for Winners. I don't know of Redeem because it's not Adeboye that owns Redeem, but I know for Winners because I remember that was a problem too in Winners. Okay, so that's why you see that they all remit money back to the headquarter church. Okay, in addition, clause 8.2 of the constitution of MFM worldwide states that the general overseer of Mountain of Fire and Miracle Ministry worldwide shall have power to appoint trustee and a secretary who shall, together with the general overseer, constitute the executive committee. So that is what the policy of MFM, that's the constitution and policy of the constitution of MFM worldwide. Okay, that's their headquarters in Nigeria. It states that the general overseer is the organizer of their church, and he is the one that will appoint trustees and secretary. They always have to be 3 of them. Okay, but they must always be odd numbers. They can't be even number. They always have to be odd numbers. So that was one of the clauses. This was one of the main concern that Charity Commission picked up on. And of course, in 2018, 3 trustees resigned, and the general overseer, Trustee A, exercised the power in clause 8.2 by appointing 5 additional trustees. However, 3 of these additional trustees were employees of MFM and continue to be remunerated. This was in breach of clause 10, the organization's governing document, and created difficulties when managing conflict of interest. So you can see how things quickly are becoming complex for those of them, for the MFM church in United Kingdom, because the general overseer, who is in Nigeria, was the one who was appointing trustees. And it's not uncommon for things like this to happen. Oyedepo did it. What's the name of this guy? What's the name of this guy? Christ Embassy, Oyakilome, Iduam. It is not uncommon that they do things like this, because remember, their church started from Nigeria, so they have their laws. And again, remember, in Nigeria, churches are registered under CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, and they are registered as business. So the way they operate in Nigeria is totally different from how they operate when they are abroad, particularly in the UK. I don't know of America, but in the UK, because it is charity. Of course, in America too, it's charity. But I don't know. I'm not sure about the nitty-gritty of how it's done in America. But in the UK, it is full charity. Okay? So, having the general overseer appointing people from Nigeria can be quite complex. Remember, he doesn't live in the UK to know how the day-to-day law works. Okay, he doesn't live in the UK to know how the day-to-day system works. And that was not uncommon. I remember the time of them Redeem too. I remember Baba Adeboye, when there was money that was remitted to him, the Redeemed Church in Nigeria was refusing to return back the money. And that caused serious kasala. If you want to know about it, go and ask Pastor Agu, he will tell you. The the inquiry identified serious concern over the role and independence of Trustee A. Obviously, remember in Nigeria, MFM is registered as a business. Yes, they are a church, but everybody registers under corporate affairs. Meanwhile, in the UK, the registration is not like that. It's registered under charity. So there was concern about his role, because remember, he's based in Nigeria, and the constitution of Nigeria is totally different from how it should work. The constitution of MFM in the UK should align with Charity Commission, and from the look of things, clearly it did not align. Okay, and it's not uncommon. The likes of Christ Embassy, the likes of Celestian, all those churches that have their headquarters in Nigeria or African countries, it is not uncommon for something like this to be. It is not uncommon that they will appoint someone like that. They would do something like this. It is not uncommon at all. The inquiry identified that the charity operated by means of branch structure. So remember what I was saying, that every branch, every pastor was opening their branch, and then they were in charge. They were in full control of their finances, administrative, and everything about the church. Meanwhile, that should not be the case. So think about it from the angle of McDonald's. Even if you collect franchise of McDonald's, KFC, whatever it is, you still have to report to the headquarters. There is a way you have to remit to the headquarters, okay? And you must align with the policies of McDonald's for consistency, okay? So in the case of MFM, Redeem, all of them, that was not uncommon to happen. Because remember, MFM Nigeria, Redeem, all of them in Nigeria, remember they are registered as business. So their constitution will reflect the registration type in Nigeria. But of course, it is not applicable in the UK system, because although they have that constitution already in place, they must align to the constitution, to the Charity Commission constitution in the UK. And I'm guessing they will also do the same in America, and so on and so forth. The inquiry identified... It says the inquiry identifies serious concern over the role and independency of trustees, of Trustee A. So they were questioning the role and independence of Trustee A, which is the general overseer, which impact the extent to which the other trustee of the charity were able to act in the best interest of the charity of MFM. Okay, so obviously, if their general overseer is in Nigeria, if he's making decisions for the church here, for the MFM in the UK, that's quite tricky, because maybe what he will be instructing does not align. The chances that it does not align with the Charity Commission's constitution is very high. The likelihood is very, very high. So there is a need for them to align. There's a need for them to align to the charity, for them to align to the Charity Commission's constitution here in the UK. Okay? The inquiry identified that MFM operated by means of branch structure. So they had branches with poor and inadequate process and reporting procedure. You can see, Charity Commission is not saying they stole. The problem is their inadequate, the branch structure comes with poor and inadequate process and reporting procedure, because they don't have a centralized way of reporting. Every branch was managing their own concerns and managing their own finances individually. So what it seems is like the trustees that was appointed by the board of by their general overseer, it was obvious that the trustee was just to report back to their general overseer. But what they were reporting obviously aligns with the Nigerian system. Most likely, I don't know, maybe in Nigeria, maybe branches, individual MFM branches in Nigeria can manage their own finances, maybe. Because I know when I used to be in Winners, before we had the centralized accounts, every pastor managed their bank accounts they manage bank account of their church. And that was why in Winners, it was very easy for pastors to steal money. It was very easy for them. That's why you hear, when you hear Ajeme carry church waka, yes, it was easy for him to do that. When you heard the likes of them, Pastor Ben carry church waka, it was very, very easy. All of them, it was easy because they were solely in charge of their churches and the finances of the churches. Bishop Oyedepo did not know how much his church was making centrally. So of course, central account was open, and that opened the eyes of Bishop Oyedepo to the money that they were making, because you didn't have to remit. You only remitted what, like it was at the discretion. Each pastor was remitting at their own discretion. There was no set. That's why I was surprised when they said redeem. They say that 1%, I've been at 10% they remit. Back then in Winners, there was no set amount. Each pastor remitted at their own discretion. So I'm guessing maybe that's what happens with MFM. I don't know, but maybe. Yeah, so inquiry identified that the charity that MFM operated by means of branch structure with poor and inadequate processing and reporting procedure between the branches and the central office. You shall not down here. So the branches and the central office, the communication was not a smooth communication. The central office was not aware what the branches were doing. Okay? There was disconnection between them, and most likely not reporting adequately. They were reporting, but maybe not giving them all the information. Of course, if the pastors of individual branches are solely responsible for their finances and their bank account, there's no law. It doesn't appear that, well, there's no law that says they have to, because they have that full autonomy. So why do you want to report to your central office when you don't need them for anything, really? Okay, so there was concern about how they were reporting. Okay. So the inquiry identified that the charity, that MFM, by the means of branch structure with poor and inadequate process and reporting procedure between the branches and the central office, due to lack of oversight and scrutiny by the former trustee, created a risk to the charity, to MFM's assets. Okay, so because the branch structure, there was no proper reporting process, the charity commission was worried that the former trustee obviously do not understand, because they do not understand their role. They are not trained. They don't have the UK training for their role. So that created risk for MFM's assets. So how does the MFM headquarter in London, how can they tell how many churches they have? How can they tell what they have, the asset they have? Because apart from churches, what are the chairs and all whatnot in the church? How can they give an accurate information or accurate account of it when there's no communication, when there's no good communication? So that automatically, you can see how governance still remains the issue. As a result, to protect MFM's fund and help improve its governance. Show you that year. I hope you are clocking it. Kurumi, where you dey? Like your big head. Hope you are clocking it now. As a result, to protect MFM's fund and help improve its governance, an interim manager was appointed to work alongside the former trustees. So Charity Commission appointed interim manager to work alongside the former trustees on the 1st of August 2019. Okay? So it's because there was concerns around how the managers. Exactly, Bami. Oh, thank you, Jedo Show. Thank you. So they had to appoint an interim manager because it's a serious governance concern. Obviously, if they were operating using their constitution in Nigeria, you can see how that causes risk to their church assets. That means they cannot accurately document their assets. And of course, their asset needs to be documented. Let me come and read the findings. Findings: governance, management, and administration of MFM by the trustee. Now, listen to it. The trustees, so under governance, the trustees have overall responsibility. Shey una dey hear? The trustees have, that's MFM's trustees in the UK. They have overall responsibility for the management of all of MFM and ensuring that it operates for the public benefits. Okay? So if you are a trustee in your church, if you are a trustee in your organization, wherever it is, the UK standard says that you have overall responsibility for the management of your church, of your organization. So when they approach you, can you come and be our trustee? No, know what you are supposed to be doing. Yeah. Trustees have overall responsibility for the management of their charity, of MFM. Of course, they say charity, so for easy understanding. Management of MFM and ensuring that it operates for the public benefit in line with its governing documents. The inquiry found that that MFM's governing document was not fit for purpose. Remember, they said they were operating under the Nigerian MFM constitution. So charity organization is saying that the governing documents that MFM United Kingdom operates under as at the time was not fit for purpose for the United Kingdom's standard, Charity Commission standard. Okay. Now, prior to the appointment of interim manager, MFM had a complex and unworkable structure with a central administrative branch and over 100 branches operating across England and Scotland. Okay, so it wasn't workable because the central office, what's it called, MFM, does not understand. They obviously don't have they don't have a structured system, because remember, they are governed by the constitution of MFM worldwide from Nigeria, which that constitution works differently from how to do in the UK. Okay. The inquiry found that each branch had its own bank accounts, giving rise to over 100 bank accounts holding charitable money. So that's holding church money. So they had over 100 bank accounts across their branches. So that means each branch they go open their bank accounts. But the headquarters in England was not aware, or maybe they are aware, but of course they are not asking questions. Okay, maybe because the constitution that they operate under in Nigeria does not allow them to do that. Okay, the current and former trustees could not demonstrate that they had adequate control or oversight of these funds, with individual branches appearing to exercise autonomy. That means they have overall power. Kurumi, simple English, overall power. Just in case you know understand, because I know say English no be your first language. The current and former trustees could not demonstrate that they had adequate control and oversight of these funds, with individual branches. So individual individual MFM branches appearing to exercise autonomy, so they have full control in setting up new bank accounts and managing branch finances on behalf of MFM. Remember, in the UK, even if you have branch, if you are a pastor of your branch, you are meant to report your finances and approve your finances through your headquarter church in the UK. The inquiry found that substantial funds had been held in a particular bank account, but the purpose of those funds were unclear. Concerns about the risk. So in a particular branch, maybe they had more money, but whatever money they had, the headquarter church was not fully, when they are auditing, it is the headquarter church that they go to. So the headquarter church was not able to explain. The headquarter church in UK, when I said headquarter, remember it's UK I'm referring to. The headquarter church was not able to explain what that huge amount of money was. Now, it is possible that the headquarter church will not be able, because if individual branches has total autonomy over their money, they don't have to tell the headquarter church. So you can see why Charity Commission would have been concerned. Okay? And of course, that cause concern about the risk of misappropriation or misappropriation of those funds, resulting in the commission making a freezing order. So in order to know that this money, that huge amount of money, headquarter church, you don't know where the money they go. You don't know what they want to use the money for. Some churches, they will save the money. Maybe they want to get a mortgage, or they want to do a deposit for a mortgage for their property. We all know that all those buildings that they buy, they are not cheap. Okay, so maybe they have saved money, they have raised money to use the money, but headquarter church is not able to explain it. So Charity Commission froze the money, which is not uncommon. If you understand accounting, you know that this is not uncommon for it to happen. They had to freeze the money until they could get to the bottom of what the money was meant for. Okay, it is clear that the governance of MFM had not adapted as the church grew. So maybe initially they were able to manage the few branches they had, but as the church was growing and expanding, as the ministry of God is moving forward, like they say, the headquarter church obviously did not have control, and perhaps it is easy for individual branches to manage their finances themselves. And remember, laws in Scotland is slightly different from laws in the rest of the UK. So most likely, it was just natural that, and of course, if you have to think about the different process of reporting and everything, it might just be a thing of convenience. A lot of organizations do this. It is not unique. The inquiry found that when the interim management was appointed, the existing system for governance were ad hoc. So it was not structured. Okay, ill-defined and not subject to appropriate checks and control. So it was all muddled up. There wasn't a structured way of reporting finances or governance or compliance concern. There wasn't a structure around it. In particular, the inquiry found that there was limited oversight by both the current and former trustee in respect of, among other things. So the current trustee and the old trustee, they didn't understand the things of the spirits, because obviously they didn't have the right training. So again, it is not uncommon. So these are, I hope you are learning. If you want to set up an organization, I hope you are learning from this. And if you have a church, I hope you are learning from this. They had in respect, okay, so financial performance, they were not aware of financial performance. They were not aware of insurance and regulatory arrangements, financial control and reporting, especially from the branches, legal matters and operational matters. The inquiry also determined that the founder and general overseer, Trustee A, exercised too much authority over the charity and other trustee, Trustee A resigned as a trustee on 7th January 2021, and his role as general overseer to appoint and remove trustee was further reduced on 4th of July 2024 when MFM's constitution was amended. So remember, they were operating the Nigerian system. They were using their constitution in Nigeria. But obviously, Charity Commission, remember, they had interim management in place. So they helped them ensure that their constitution, the MFM UK constitution, aligns with Charity Commission's constitution. And therefore, it meant that the general overseer had to resign because he doesn't live in the UK. He lives in Nigeria. So he can't be making decisions for what happens in the UK. And I remember Winners challenged this when they had the same problem. Of course, their own problem was more than this, but I remember Bishop Oyedepo challenging it in courts. Okay, but of course, it was flawed because he doesn't have a residential address in the UK. And I think right about that time they bought a private jet, so that didn't even help their matter. When MFM constitution was amended, okay, so he had to resign, and his power was reduced on the 4th of July 2024 when MFM's constitution was amended to remove their power to appoint and remove trustee. Of course, if MFM is UK based, it is only right that they operate under the UK constitution. The inquiry also found that conflicts of interest were not given proper consideration or acted upon and resolved. The failure by the current and former trustees to ensure that the governance structure and policies of the charity were suitable for the size and structure of the charity is misconduct and or mismanagement in the administration of MFM. Due to the failing in governance, the interim management in conjunction with the current trustee appointed, of course, they had to help them appoint legal team to undertake a governance review. This was completed in March 2024, and the key recommendations were as follows: that MFM consider establishing a hub and spoke model of incorporation. A hub and spoke model involves a central hub MFM that separate spoke charities which are established for the same or similar purpose and have a relationship with the hub MFM which can be contractual, constitutional, and mixture of two. The MFM takes steps to strengthen governance of MFM by means that include but not limited to the following: reviewing, updating, and introducing policy and procedure as they grow. Recruiting additional trustee to enhance the skill set of current board to support effective governance of MFM. Tighten internal financial control. Tighten control of MFM's relationship with its borders. Remember, they said they were not with the branches. Remember, they said MFM, the headquarters in London, was not necessarily, they didn't have a structured communication. So all of that, the legal team supported them to tighten that up and regularize the relationship between MFM Nigeria, MFM United Kingdom, and MFM worldwide. Okay, so even remember, MFM cannot operate in isolation because their original headquarters is in Nigeria. So they still have to have a way of communicating with their headquarters in Nigeria without losing the focus of the purpose of establishing them. Okay, so they were able to help support them to do that. That's also the same for MFM, Redeem, Winners, Sele, all of them. Go and read about it, you see it there. Then on financial management, the inquiry found that MFM financial control, where they existed, were not being adhered to by the trustee, staff, pastors, and volunteers. This meant that MFM's assets, for example, members' donation, were not adequately protected. By law, yes, they need to be able to protect their members' donation. So insurance needs to be put in place to ensure that things are properly insured, that finances are properly insured. Okay? The branch structure of MFM means that the finances of the branches should be overseen centrally by MFM. So MFM United Kingdom, MFM London should centrally oversee whatever they are doing with their money. When the money is going in and coming out, MFM headquarters in London is meant to know. They are meant to seek approval. They are meant to authorize money going in and out of accounts. The account has to be centralized. The inquiry found that there were insufficient personnel resources within MFM to adequately complete the necessary financial administrative process. So they didn't have enough staff. They didn't have designated staffs to help manage their finances. So of course, that was something that they picked up on, and with the training, that would have been sorted. This issue was compounded by the lack of expertise in financial matters. You can see, again, this also goes back again to governance. Okay, where there's lack of financial expertise, there's a lack of expertise in financial matters across MFM and its branches. So they refer to the UK. So across all of them, they didn't have professionals managing their finances for them. It appears the pastors themselves were managing their books, or volunteers, like, as a worker in church, volunteer worker, you were managing the finances for them. This issue was compounded by the lack of, there was also no individual holding senior position at MFM who held appropriate professional qualification. You see what I was saying? So among the leadership, among the pastors, for those of them who were in senior position, maybe board of trustees, they didn't have professional qualification to match their role, to match their administrative role and decision-making role. So there was a need for that to happen. The inquiry also found that the lack of financial control had created an environment where informal and unapproved loan agreements, soft loan, being loaned from members that were extended to MFM had or its branches with less stringent repayment terms compared with conventional loan. So for instance, members were borrowing money, or pastors were loaning members maybe money, I don't know. I remember back in Redeem, people will borrow money. Maybe they want to borrow money for their mortgage. Some people will borrow money for one thing or the other, things like that. So in the UK, under the because of course the church is registered as a charity, so they must have their financial policy. When they borrow money, how long will you, if they are giving you a loan, how long is the loan for? What is the percentage? Does the loan have a percentage? What is the repayment plan? At what stage, if you don't pay back the money, at what stage does the church begin to ask for their money? At what stage can they get the bailiffs to come after you? Remember, this is not Nigeria. The UK system is totally different. So when they check their paperwork, they didn't have these things. Yes, they were giving out loans, but they did not have something that stipulated it. Like one auntie where they put 6 million for inside your account, we carry 1.6, he carry and spend that. He say, God no tell am. Say Holy Spirit never tell am make he pay am back. If na UK, auntie yan ashalaye. The inquiry found so that was a loan. It became clear through the interim management attempt to regularize the financial reporting at MFM and get a clear understanding of any liability that MFM had, that the branch did not always understand what was expected of them and often made decisions about expenditure. So you can see the branches were making decisions. There was no direct how branch pastors were not seeking advice. They were just responding to their own needs without carrying their headquarter church along. So they said that the branch did not always understand what was expected of them and often made decisions about expenditure, including significant property purchases, without the knowledge or authorization by the trustees. So they were buying properties for church, they were buying church building, but of course they did not seek the approval of the headquarter church in London. Okay, this proved to be very difficult to regularize, and is one of the reasons why the interim managers was appointed for an extended period. So it's their own money, but it was just the way they were managing their finances. They did not have, like I read out, they didn't have professionals in their board of trustees. Because if a professional was there, he would have said, no, you can't just be buying what you want. This money that you are remitting, what is it for? This account, why do you have so much money in this account? What is it meant for? There would have been a straight reporting. But of course, they didn't have professionals. They didn't have people with professional qualification, so they didn't ask this question. Hence the reason Charity Commission appointed interim managers. The lack of, you can see that they even went and bought property. One branch bought property without the headquarter knowing about it, and that's an asset. The headquarter church in England should know if an asset has been purchased. If an asset has been acquired, the headquarter church should know. The lack of financial control and oversight by the former trustees placed MFM's assets at risk, and his misconduct and mismanagement by the current and former trustee. So obviously, if they don't know how many assets they have, because MFM, when you are submitting your financial end of year financial report, you should contain your assets, your liability, overhead, the breakdown of it. You should contain all of that. Now, what was the action plan? On 13 September 2024, the commission made an order under section 84 of the Act, which directed the trustee to complete actions by the date specified in the order. The action concerned submission of MFM's accounts, governance changes, so change in leadership. They have to submit their accounts, in a centralized way. The change of governance, employment and human resources issue. You can see MFM asset, policies and administrative matters. The commission monitored the performance of the trustees against the specific action and is satisfied that they have been completed. So you can see when they listed all that needed to be done, the Charity Commission obviously monitored them, guided them and monitored them, and made sure that they submitted what was needed from them. So what was needed? They needed to submit a centralized account, governance changes, change in their policy around the trustee, all assets of MFM, they need to see it, they need to be well documented, policies and administrative matters, and then of course they monitored them, and all of that was done, and Charity Commission was satisfied. Then it says the extent to which the trustee have complied with the duties and responsibility under the charity law include the trustee's compliance with legal obligation for the preparation and filing of MFM's accounts and return. The former trustee failed to submit accurate and timely accounts. Of course, if they are not well trained, they will not work with deadlines. Okay. However, new trustees, so he said former trustees failed to submit accurate and timely accounts, trustees' annual reports and annual returns by the due date for financial year end, 31st December 2012 through to the financial year end, 31st December 2019. That's not uncommon. A lot of people don't do that. Okay, and of course, if they're not professionals, they wouldn't understand the importance. If you have a company or you have a charity, you know how important it is to file at year end. And if you're in a management role in your job, you know what that means. The former trustees, in addition, The current and former trustees failed to fully comply with the direction and order of Charity Commission, requiring the trustees to submit documents and accounts or undertake specific tasks by the specific date, which were issued by the Commission on 12th July 2018, 10 January 2020, 18 March 2021, 21st of September 2021, 25th of November 2021, 27th of April 2022. So it's telling you why it took them so long, because obviously they were struggling to comply, so it took them so long. And you can imagine, if you don't understand, if you don't have professional training, it can be very frustrating. The commission's guidance, the essential trustee, what we need to know, okay, set out the key duties of all trustees and trustees of MFM in England and Wales, and what trustees need to do to carry out their duties completely. So trustees have 6 main duties. Listen, before they appoint you as trustee, listen to what they are saying. The first one, to ensure that MFM is carrying out its purpose for the public benefit. 2, trustee have the duty to comply with MFM's governing documents and law. 3, trustees must act in MFM's best interest. 4, trustees must ensure that MFM is accountable. 5, trustee must manage MFM's resources responsibly. And 6, trustee must act with reasonable care and skills. The former trustees did not have all of this. The inquiry found that there was a long history of the former trustees' failure to act in accordance with their legal duty to comply with MFM's governing documents and law. The former trustees failed to submit their accounting information to the Commission on time, which is a legal requirement under section 163, 164, 169 of the Act, clause 14 and 16 of MFM's governing document, requiring the trustees to comply with their obligations. So apart from the fact that they did not comply with it, which is a legal problem under United Kingdom, even their own MFM worldwide, it's also a problem. It's also a legal requirement for them to comply. So they had broken the legal requirement both in their headquarter MFM in Nigeria and also the MFM operating in the UK. Clause 14 and to 16 of the MFM governing document require the trustees to comply with the obligation under the Act with regards to the transmission to the Commission, the MFM statement of accounts, the trustees' annual reports, and MFM's annual return. The account and trustees' annual report for financial year ending in 2015, 16 to 17 were filed 152, 163 and 150. So it was late. The one in 2015 was filed after 152 days. The one in 2016 was filed after 163 days. The one in 2017 was filed after 151 days. So you can see they didn't understand the gravity of filing late. The inquiry found that there were numerous examples of current and former trustees failing to adequately oversee or monitor MFM branches. When the inquiry was opened, MFM had in excess of 90 branches nationwide. So across United Kingdom, they had excess of 90 branches as opposed to 55 branches. So maybe there were some branches that did not necessarily need to have, so they had to cap them down to 55 branches, which required the trustee to be able to rely on suitably qualified staffs with clear lines of financial reporting and delegated authorities to the branches. If you remember, there was a time they were closing MFM branches. So obviously that was to do with their charity recommendation from Charity Commission. The report structure was absent from MFM when interim management was appointed. An inquiry found engagement with the branches was periodic and unreliable. The inquiry found that the branches often took decisions about expenditure without the trustees' knowledge or permission. You can see it's very important that the branches seek permission, and it needs to be approved by the headquarter church. But unfortunately, at the time, they were not doing that. They were just taking their autonomy decision. Without the knowledge and permission, and they also failed to report on their income centrally in a timely manner. This made it especially challenging for the trustees, both former and current, to have full knowledge of MFM's income and expenditure, and was one reason why the account was regularly submitted late or were qualified. So you can see, because the branches, they were all acting autonomously, so they were not meeting the deadline that they should meet, and hence the board of trustees were filing their report late. But imagine if they were trained professionals, they will understand. They would have put the whatever there. I work with the local authority. Before the financial, we all know that financial year end is March. By November, the email has started circulating. They started chasing every one of us to start looking at our budget and tidying up our budgets. By January, they no born you well, make you no submit. That in the kind email we go bombard you. The lack of oversight and control of MFM's finance by the former and current trustees place MFM's assets at risk and is considered misconduct or mismanagement in the administration of MFM. This filing was also a breach of trustees' legal duty to manage MFM's resources responsibly. For example, through acting autonomously and without proper oversight, branches were exposed to legal claims from landlord. Can you see? Because the branches were acting on their own, they were doing things with full power. So they were exposed to legal claims that was not protecting MFM's assets. They were getting legal claims on their landlord, which resulted in losses to the charity, to MFM. So of course they were paying legal fees. If their landlord was taking them to court, maybe they were struggling with their own finances in whatever branch they were, and landlord was taking them to court, they had to pay. So hence you see why they were saying MFM was losing money. The former and current trustees failed to adequately oversee and monitor branches who entered into lease and took out mortgages without the authority of the trustee, which exposed the charity to substantial liability. So obviously some churches were renting on lease. The property they were occupying were leased properties. Some of them were taking out mortgage without the headquarters in London knowing about it. So you can see how there's legal liability on them. And the trustees that is supposed to be in charge of all of this were not aware. In addition, on occasion, branch occupied property without first obtaining the necessary planning permission and were subject to legal action by a council, which resulted in losses to the charity, to MFM. So you can see, at a point, a church went and got property without a planning permission. So you can see how the MFM was losing money. So the long and short of it, it's almost finished. Let me read it and then we'll go. Further losses arose as a result of former and current trustees' failure to regularize employment contracts, which results in payment to settle employment disputes. So you can see the height of inadequacy in the governance at the time. The commission concluded that there were serious misconduct or mismanagement in administration of MFM, as the former and current trustee both failed to ensure that MFM's governance and financial management kept pace with the growth of MFM. Serious failing were identified in the former and current trustees' ability to manage and oversee MFM's branches, which created a risk to MFM's fund. Because if the trustees are not competent, they are not competent in what they do, MFM is going to be losing money. And of course, you could see some of them were locked up in legal, but some of the branches were locked up in legal battle. Some of them were taking out lease without reading the paperwork properly. The inquiry intervention addressed these regulatory issues through the appointment of interim management, who ensure proper oversight of MFM's finances and facilitated things to improvement for MFM governance and management. While this was protected appointment, which incurred significant costs. Obviously, MFM had to pay for the interim management, so they're like trustees. They had to pay, because if Charity Commission is standing in, they are charging for their time. You know how UK be, everything is money. So you can imagine the thousands that MFM would have paid when all of this was in place. It was ultimately successful in ensuring assurance regarding MFM's expenditure and brought about the required improvement for MFM's governance and administration. Following the discharge of interim management, the Commission issued the action plan referred to the above and is satisfied with the trustees' compliance with the action details. With that, the Commission acknowledged the commitment of the current trustee to imbibe the improved governance and administrative processes at MFM to continue to implement the recommended set out in independence review. So obviously, the trustees were all done properly. The interim management was able to guide MFM to ensure that they have the right people in as trustees, make sure that they had the right training, and also made sure that they had centralized accounts and a centralized way of reporting their finances and administrative roles. And of course, that was resolved. So yes, it took them 5 years to do it, but like you know, Charity Commission will not let go until everything has been done. And it wasn't to do, like I said at the beginning, MFM did not steal any money. Nobody stole money from anywhere. They did not steal money from anywhere. All that happened was their trustees were not they did not have the right training. And of course, that cost them a lot financially. And now they've resolved it. They've had to also stream down on the branches that they have. Redeem opens branch every Eke Market Day. Yes, they do that because they have a franchise system. So their headquarter church is not liable for whatever any branch does. But in MFM's case, they have a centralized system. So reporting, they just needed to tighten things up, and they were able. Charity Commission supported them for that training. So I'll tell you, if you have organization, if you have churches, this is a lesson for all African churches. If your headquarter church is in Africa, make sure when you are registering your church here, make sure that the constitution of your church that you are registering here aligns with the UK Charity Commission's legislation and constitution. Make sure. In MFM's case, it was a strong. They didn't, of course, until something happened, until there was concerns. If the trustee had not reported it, and of course, I guess they would have reported out of panic, because if they had the right training, it was something they could have done in-house. Okay, because the professional, like in the case of Pastor Agu is a professional himself. Them Folalade, all of them, they were able to swing into action. They were able to swing into action and resolve the concern. Of course, they had to pay dearly, but they were able to. But their own case is more complex because a lot led to all of that. It wasn't a case of misappropriation of fund. There was fraud. There was all whatnot going on. Okay. Now, in the case of MFM, that was not the case. It was strictly to do with governance and the way their finances was being managed. It was their money. It's always been their money. Nobody, they didn't get money from anywhere. It was always their money. But it was how they were spending their money and how they were managing their assets that raised concerns. And the concern was raised because their board of trustees were not professionally trained. If they had a professional training, this would have been something that would have been resolved internally. Of course, they've learned their lesson, and so is it. Now, I hope this gives clarity, because I remembered Auntie, what's it be her name? That woman, that my paddy Auntie Funke. I remember say she carry and go court, go dey talk, say Charity Commission carry MFM go court, go talk. No, they did not carry the. It's just like you read. It is all in public domain. Go there, go and type it on public domain. You go see am for there. Okay, go and type it on public domain. You will see it there. Every information, what I've read out, is public information. It is not a hidden information. Okay, it is not hidden at all. So, if you are going to open a church, maybe your church says, come and open a branch, because as we are having a lot of Africans, people are coming with their churches, they are migrating, they are jackpying with their churches, with their church, what do they call them? They are migrating with their church branches. When you want to set up your church branches, please make sure that your constitution in your church branch aligns with the UK Charity Commission. Otherwise, you will find yourself on their hot table. Okay? And also, for those who are screaming and shouting about MFM stealing money, no, they didn't steal money. I remember when I even talked about it back then. They didn't steal any money. All that happened was just not having the right people at the aim of leadership. That was all it was. And of course, you could see the moment they had the right people, they had the right training, the Charity Commission discharged the interim management team, and they were satisfied, and they gave them a satisfactory report. So I hope this has helped with clarity. And also, for those who own charity organization, and if you own churches, please share with them, let them watch it. A lot of our African churches are caught up in this. A lot of our African-led charity organizations are caught up in this. A lot of businesses are caught up in this. They are caught up in this error. As minor as the error looks, you can see how big. You don't even want to know. I don't even want to imagine how much MFM had to pay the Charity Commission interim management, because it's not cheap. I can tell you that for free. It is not cheap. And the longer that they stay, the more expensive it is. So you can imagine how much they paid for a whole 5 years. And I'm sure it's a big lesson to them as well. Okay. So thanks everybody for watching. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Maybe in the morning tomorrow, I'll see you all. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful night. Thank you. Bye.